Good morning, friends. Let us start another version of anti-epilepsy. In the first two episodes, we saw about the introduction of epilepsy, what are the two different terms what we are using for epilepsy, what are the different types of causes and the symptoms in that place, and also the classification of types of seizures for that video. And the next video we saw the mechanism of action, on which neurotransmitters it is acting and what type of neurons it is acting. And we know that the epilepsy is called as the paroxysmal synchronous episodal disorder of neuronal ions, and only two main neurons are being involved in this epilepsy, or two types as I indicated over here. One is glutamate and the other one is GABA. We know that the glutamate is an excitatory neurotransmitter and GABA is called as inhibitory neurotransmitter. Whenever there is a discharge of all these neurotransmitters from one neuron to the other neuron, we may get the disorder of epilepsy. And here today we'll see up the classification and the mechanism of action at what spot they are acting. And now let me finish off the classification over here. The first classification, we know that there are different types of classifications, and that in particular we have benzodiazepines and barbiturates. We already discussed about these two, and barbiturates is one of the example over here. One is called as phenobarbitones, the other one is called as deoxybarbiturates, which is called as primidone, and the other one is called as hidentoin, which is called as phenytoin, and immunostilbins, this is called as carbamazepine and oxcarbamazine. Next you have succinides, it is called as ethosuximide, and you have aliphatic carboxylic acid, which is having an example of sodium valproate, and you have phenyltriazine, which is the best example of ramotrigine. Newer drugs, you have different types of newer drugs which are being called as vigadrabine and topiramate. So these are the various different types of classifications, and out of which benzodiazepines are also been there, which has been acting on diazepam, lorazepam, nitrazepam. So these are different types of benzodiazepines. This is also one of the classification, but I am just not indicating because we already discussed about barbiturates and benzodiazepines, and out of which I blocked some here. One is called as phenobarbital, I blocked it, and here this is phenytoin, the carbamazepine, the ethosuximide, the sodium valproate and lamotrigine. These are all being blocked off because they are potent and acting on something where two or more categories, so that the work of epilepsy will be done little bit faster. And here the carbamazepine, they are acting on sodium blockers. That means we know that the glutamate, whenever it wants this action potential, it has to start its work by depolarization and hyperpolarization by the flow of sodium and calcium ions inside it, so that you have your action potential starts at that place. And later we know that it is also supported by calcium, which has to be in flow, and that action potential has to be more and more stimulated, so that the synaptic vesicles which are present will come closer to the presynaptical area, that means the end of the presynaptical area, so that the neurotransmitter is released outside. And now we'll see this sodium valproate. This is one of the best and potent drugs which are used on calcium blockers, as we just now discussed that it is acting on calcium channels, voltage gated T types voltage gated T channels, where the calcium inflow will be hyperpolarized and giving you action potential more and more electrified. And so that is also been done by the activity of action potential. And now you have the lamotrigine, and this lamotrigine is one of the other examples of sodium blockers. So whatever the drug is, whether it is having the main name of sodium or calcium, sometimes they have an intensity to act on the other also. So here if you see the sodium valproate, it is acting on both calcium, sodium, and also it is acting on GABA transferase transaminase, because it is one of the transmitter MS GABA T, which is used in the metabolism of GABA, converting it into SSA. That we already discussed in fate of GABA and also in the mechanism of action of anti-epilepsy. If any just rounds, can you just go for that videos and try to finish off. And here let me finish off this carbamazepine, and just as I indicated over here, this is a GABA receptor which is having the flow of chlorine ions, and which is started giving the inhibition into the post synapse, and it is giving you the sodium and potassium and also calcium, where potassium is outflowed and sodium and calcium is inflowed. With the help of these, the action potential will be maintained by both depolarization, hyperpolarization and repolarization, making the electrifying of your neuronals and passaging the message from one place to the other place. So this is called as a flow of epilepsy. So what happens sometimes whenever there is an emotional imbalance or sometimes the stress may be more and more, what happens, these sodium and calcium ions will be discharging their own ionic messages outside the neuron, and that particular place we get epilepsy. And whenever this chlorine, that means the inhibition of chlorine has been enhanced before or increased, the inhibition is being increased, you get freezing of your epilepsy. That is called as absence epilepsy. So this will be happening. Now let me finish off valproate in the form of mechanism of action. So I am erasing this and I will represent you in the form of mechanism of action. I am doing both at a time. What is that? The carbamazepine and sodium valproate, so that you can understand easily and what is a slight difference between both the drugs. So let me finish off. Carbamazepine. This is your first example, which I told you it is acting on sodium channels. So just give an arrow mark and write it off. Acts on. So simple word which you can understand with that. And also we'll come to the sodium valproate. I am erasing this so that you can understand easily. Sodium valproate. So here I am giving you both the at a time so that you can understand what is happening. So here we can write acts on. So we know that the sodium valproate is one of the drug which is acting on sodium calcium T type channels, voltage gated, so here carbamazepine is only acting on sodium channels. Sodium voltage gated ion channels, right? And now we have to write what is blocking off. Let me change the pen. So here it's blocking. So we do not understand what it is blocking. So by this we can understand it is blocking sodium and calcium on glutamate neuron. And the simple version over here, it is only acting on sodium glutamate neuron. Right? Now we'll come to this sodium valproate. As I told you, this is only acting, not only acting on to the glutamate neuron, but it is also acting on the GABAergic neuron. So once again one more step will be increased over here. Blocks. So what it is blocking? GABA T. We know that GABA T means GABA transaminase on GABA neuron. That is action, and here it is only acting on glutamate receptor, so we cannot mention GABA T there, and directly we can finish off. So what it is doing? It is inhibits. So what it is inhibiting? It is inhibiting sodium flow into the neuron so that the action potential will be decreased. So finish off, write it here, decreasing. So you can understand easily by the simple words. So what it is decreasing? It is decreasing epilepsy transmission, to other neuron. So this is the last writing, and here it is doing two functions over here. So that what we need to understand here, or not only this, inhibits, write the word inhibits here. Inhibits. So now we have to write two words here. What it is inhibiting? It is not only inhibiting sodium, calcium, but also it is inhibiting GABA T. So it is inhibiting sodium calcium flow. The same matter runs here. Sodium calcium flow into post synapse. The same word starts here. Keep threading. Give an arrow mark. Epilepsy transmission to decreasing. What it is decreasing? Write the word decreasing epilepsy transmission. Or discharge of transmission is being decreased. So the only extra word on sodium valproate, it is acting on GABA T transaminase, and but the remaining here it is acting on calcium, but it is not acting on calcium, but it is only acting on sodium. So this will be the work of here, and up to here you finished whatever is happening here, and finally you finish off what is happening after this. So we understood that what is happening over here. Finally it is maintaining. Let me change the pen for you. A, red stands for carbazepam and black stands for sodium valproate. So what we have to write? Maintaining (33 Ohms) voltage. Finally, anti-epilepsy. If you want, you can mention what type of epilepsy it is being used. Usually this carbamazepine is used in generalized and partial seizures. So you can mention that. Generalized partial seizures, GPS. Generalized simple seizures, generalized simple seizures. Generalized TCS, generalized tonic-clonic seizures. So this also can be included, so that it will be clear on which type of activity is being used. So this is the work of carbamazepine. Now let me finish off this also. Maintaining. The same category comes here. 3 Hertz voltage. If you want, it change little bit terms. So what happens? The electrical discharge, the electrical lightning of the discharge is being reduced. Reducing electrification I think I am clear for you. Reducing electrification of discharge. Finally, you can finish off the words. Decreasing GPS, nothing but generalized partial seizures. GSS stand for generalized simple seizures. GTS, generalized tonic seizures. GCS, generalized clonic seizures. So this type will be increases. And here this is missing. Let me finish off this also, because the space is not here. It is including decreasing. So otherwise we can write right here decreasing. It will be much more comfortable for you. So decreasing all this. So this we can write it onto the arrow mark, or you can just include it over here also. So what is the comfortability, you can understand. But betterly you can write without the arrow mark what it is doing. So it is decreasing your GPS, GSS, GT, CS. So this is the way how to we represent the mechanism of actions very easily without any confusion. And the one who has to see all this formation of your aromatically, then he can understand that simplification of your pharmacology. So the pharmacology is not so hard. We can represent each and every activity in a simplified version. So we can say that pharmacology is made easy. Now let me finish off. These are the classification, and this is a way of mechanism of action. Carbamazepine, voltage aggregate ions, sodium glutamate neurons, inhibits sodium water flow, the neuron, and then increasing epileptic transmission to the other neurons. And here the sodium valproate is doing sodium, calcium and T channels. It is not only acting on that, it is acting on the GABA T also. It is doing the inhibition of sodium, calcium, and here I think I didn't mention you here. Let me finish off that also. The one more activity is there, because I didn't do the GABA thing. I will finish off this. So let me finish off this word here. Decreasing. So in order to control this GABA T, you can write it is decreasing metabolism of GABA. So increasing Cl minus flow. So the remaining will see the same. So you can finish off this matter over here. Epilepsy transmission. Epilepsy transmission. Decreases. So finally we got the words what we are searching for. So this is a way how we need to represent this. And if at all the question has been forwarded right about the mechanism of action of lamotrigine, or later the mechanism of action of phenobarbiturates, or like the mechanism of benzodiazepines regarding this epilepsy, so you can finish off with the simple terms. Whatever the terms will be, the terms remain the same, but the way the particular action will be little bit changed. For your barbiturates, its actions on the GABA side, and also for the barbiturates it is acting on the benzodiazepine side. So what will be the action? The action increases your chlorine flow. Whenever the chlorine flow is more increased, we know that the transmission is being inhibited, and there is a neutral balance between the positive and the negative. That means the excitation and the inhibition. That means the controller is being maintained for the discharge of neurons. So it is controlling or decreasing or inhibiting your flow of discharge of the neurons from post-transmission to the pre-transmission to the post-transmission. So no need to get any confusion, but just keep it in the mind. This is a way how we need to write. The simple terms will be changed, but the main mechanism will be one and the same. So let me finish off with the last word, ADRs. Actually, this ADRs, we know already that it is acting on the central nervous system, and we always get the ADRs related to central nervous system. And now it is a simplified version. We know that, go for the ADRs. Actually it can be generalized, but only simple two or more will be more particularly to one and the other one, but we'll just tell it in a common way so that we can write it off in anything. So the ADRs, main ADR will be N. Why? Because it is acting on your CNS CTZ centers. Vomiting, that we already discussed. Diarrhea. It leads to anorexia. It is leading to alopecia sometimes. think it is alopecia, ALO, right? And we know that it is leading to PCB, so having fetus malformations, why? Because it is crosses PCB, that means it is very dangerous for the fetal papers, that means the lactating women or the pregnant women. If it is a pregnant woman, the fetus will be disturbed. If it is a, if it is a lactating mother, the child may be disturbed because it crosses your PCB layer, nothing but the placental crossing membrane. So this is for the other one, and you can go for agranulocytosis. Why? Because all the granulocytes are disturbed, that means the immunity system is being disturbed. And you have thrombocytopenia, that means the lowdown of your thrombocytes. So these were the different types of areas related to altogether. Particularly I told you, it is for the generalization, but only some 2 or 3 will be changed regarding their own prescriptions. And particularly one more point over here is it is been combined with other 3 drugs also. If you see, phenobarbital is being joined with carbamazepine, or this carbamazepine is being added with your phenobarbital, or the sodium valproate sometimes will be mixed with your lamotrigine. So it is a combination of 2 or 3 drugs rather than only one drug. Why? Because the affinity of your, that means the therapeutic activity of any drug has to be increased so that your condition of your disease will be a little bit reduced off. So these are the different types of areas that we can discuss in a more manner, and it has been more and more potent. That means more severely we seen this type of areas. That means only the prolongation of this anti-epileptical drug. So this is the how, and we can go for the brand names if you want, which are available in the market. Actually this is a very important. Why? Because a lay person may not be known what is a combination and what is a brand name, but by this we can understand what is available drug product available in the market. So this is called as valproate. This is a brand name which is available in the market in the form of 100 to 400 milligrams dose in sustained released tablets. I think it is LEA, isn't it? Sustained released tablets. So this is the one, and this is called Migitol, and this is the one how we need to discuss about each and every category. So this is your end of epilepsy. Now we are in the next section we'll go for a new topic. Bye for now.